Tonight's lecture is titled the Key Distinguished Professor Lecture. Back in 1967, when a group of architects from Baltimore went to President Elkins here at the University of Maryland and said, "We'd like you to start a school of architecture." President Elkins said it would be a good idea to put some money up front to prove that you're absolutely serious. Paul Key, who was one of the first two professionally registered architects in the state of Maryland, put up $10,000 as an initial donation to what eventually became the Key Endowment. Paul Key was one of the, as I said, Paul and his wife Grace established the endowment of the Key Distinguished Professorship in 1967. And over the years, the corpus of that fund, the body of that fund, has grown to over $1 million, yielding a considerable sum every year that enriches the life of students and faculty in the School of Architecture. And we really do appreciate that. The Key Distinguished Professor has played an important life in this school and has really been characterized by some of the most eminent practitioners and scholars. In fact, if you look at the list of the Key professors on our website, it's a veritable who's who of late 20th and early 21st century architecture, planning, and theorists. Suzane Reatig joins that list. Suzane founded her practice in 1989 with the conviction that a small office can be creative, socially responsive, and prosper. Her designs are both bold but timeless, carefully crafted, and exquisitely detailed, expressing contemporary use of materials and an intuitive understanding of modern structure and space. They reflect our time while still addressing the basic needs of her clients. Importantly, Suzane Reatig's buildings contribute to the physical, social, and cultural well-being of the city. They are beautiful, well-built, and attentive to the needs and aspirations of their users. Noted architecture critic Ben Forgey observed in the Washington Business Journal, and I quote, most of the buildings that Suzane Reatig has designed are affordable residential units within walking distance of her office, a 3 to 5 person operation, comfortably ensconced in a row house on 8th Street Northwest in the heart of the Shaw neighborhood. This concentration on social housing in one of the city's poorest, if fast gentrifying areas, helps to explain Reatig's modest public profile. Reatig is a refreshing anomaly. When looking at or thinking about her work, you get an eerie but unmistakable sense that she is a throwback to an earlier architectural age, that she might be designing social housing during modernism's heroic years in the 1920s in Berlin, Vienna, or Amsterdam. In their vastly influential 1932 book, International Style, Philip Johnson and Henry Russell Hitchcock praised modern architecture of elegant, flat surfaces, open spaces, geometric purity, and as they wrote, a truly classic restraint. I often think from that quote that you could almost open up International Style today and find some of Suzane's buildings right in that book. Reatig has received numerous national and international awards and has been extensively discussed by her peers, the architectural community and press. Former New York Times critic Herbert Muschamp described her Metropolitan Community Church as a prodigy of Washington cityscape, a building that recalls Maya Lin's Vietnam Memorial in its enlargement of emotional impact through a reduction of formal means. She's been featured by other prominent publications, including the Washington Post and Architectural Record. This year, as Key Professor, Ms. Reatig will work with the Architecture 600-611 design studio as they develop their projects throughout the course of the semester, and she'll also return on November 9th as in a forum to talk about housing with other architects in DC. I should also mention that perhaps one of her most successful design students is now an associate of hers in her office and a graduate of this program, Reatig, one of our indeed waiting for Nuni to graduate, which she went through the program like really fast, to be able to invite Suzane, and now it's really all in the family. So, welcome. Very nice. Oh, okay, let me get it. I'm sorry.
I'm honored and honored to be here. Thank you very much. Thank you, Brian. Thank you, faculty and students. That's a great honor. I'll start with the slide in my blog. We just published a book about Shaw, a clear view, how class building changed a neighborhood. The sound.
This was obviously not designed by an architect. Or conversely, it was, but not one of us.
Okay.
Is that better?
Okay, can you hear me? Okay. In the book, we have, I think, 9 or 10 projects in Shaw. That's our neighborhood. And we have one project in Baltimore, and I'll show you the project also in Baltimore because it has a lot of similarities. I'm leaving 3 books here for the library so you can go and look at them when you have the time, all the floor plans and a lot of details up there. I grew up in Israel, and this is Jerusalem, and the same one there. You can see that Jerusalem is built all out of one material, stone. And no high-rises in Jerusalem, that's the zoning regulation. So even it's kind of very monochromatic, it's very rich and beautiful, the light and shade and the landscaping, and also the ages. So, and you can see what's old and what's new. So this is just like a slide of the stone of Jerusalem. And on the right, you see an old wall, and on the left, it's the new. And so you walk in the streets and you see sites that are 100 years old and sometimes thousands of years old. And this is Sapli, a residential project in Manila. So you can see that it's very sensitive to the area. That's one of my favorite buildings in Jerusalem. It's the American Colony Hotel. And this is the wall in the street, and you see that it's completely in the street, there is no sidewalk, and you just take a little street there to do some painting, but then you go in the lobby, and that's what you see. This is the lobby when you enter through the door, and you see the court. And by the way, this was Louis Kahn's favorite place. Every time he goes to Jerusalem, he stays there, and that's one of my favorite places. The court is an outdoor living room, and the young girl there, Leora, is here in the audience, but a little bit older now. So it's like being in an oasis in the middle of the city. The city is noisy and hectic, and doesn't have any shade, and then you enter into this court, and it's just an amazing place. You don't have to stay at the American Colony Hotel, you can just go and have tea there. And this is the roof, and not that anything special on the roof, but the roof in Israel and in some other places are used for people and not for the air conditioning unit. And we are starting to think about it here too. Because the roof is the most amazing place. You have the sky and nature. And in the evening, it's a lovely space even in the hot weather. We moved when I was older, I think when I was like 17 or so, we moved to the suburban of Tel Aviv. And Tel Aviv is a UNESCO World Heritage Site for its Bauhaus. And the Bauhaus buildings were all about solution for housing and urban design. And what I love also is buildings, you can just look at the building and you know exactly what's going inside, where are the stairs, where the living room, where is the bathroom. And by the way, even bathrooms have windows. And it was all about how to make people's life better, cross ventilation, a lot of light, and connection to nature. And that's what we do in all our housing. And this is a boulevard in Tel Aviv, and it's in the middle. That's the most important. The most important place is for the people to walk and for bicycles, and the cars are on the periphery. One of the things I really like in Tel Aviv, and now it started also here in Washington, is the connection between the building and the street. So there is this transparency, and always the first floor is open, and it's cafes, and even small areas. People will just take a small area and use it, and there is this connection between the street and the building. So it's not a sheer wall. And even when you have the wall, so you see people on the sidewalk put tables and use the street. And now I will start with my own world. And this is the map of Shaw. And we have a point there. I'll come and show it here. Our office is here. So we can see that all these are our projects. And the first one that I will show is the Metropolitan Community Care.
Very low tech.
Oh, okay. That's perfect. That's the first project that I didn't show. And that's the building. So just to put things in context, I started my own firm in 1989. And in 1989, I met this small congregation that wanted to build a new building for themselves. It was a gay community, and they had a church on M Street and between 4 and 5. And they were worshiping on the first floor in a townhouse with low ceiling. At the time, the area was rough, but they got a lot at the corner of Ridge and 5th Street Northwest. So they had a big dream and they didn't have money. So what I was thinking was, well, I have to design a very simple building for them to be able to build it. And it had a lot of restrictions with the parking and all this, but I won't get into it. And basically, if you see the building now, it's kind of like, the plan is very, very simple. And it's a sanctuary that is left with an L-shaped service area. That's the second floor. This is the open space. So, architecture is all about resolving a problem. And to resolve a problem, you have to understand the problem. And once you understand it really, really well, the solution becomes self-evident. So I spent a lot of time with the client, and this is, I got once from a Dow Angle lecture that he said that he would not work with a client unless he spent with them half a year and knew that they are the right client. So I decided I'm going to spend a lot of time with the members because I didn't know who they are, what they are. So I went a lot to their meetings and to their events. And what I found out was that they had this lot, was in a rough neighborhood. They didn't have money. They wanted a building for 300 members. So we couldn't think even about something underneath the building. And at the time I was thinking, well, we have 10,000 square feet. And if we have 300 people, we need 30 parking spaces. 30 parking spaces means 10,000 square feet. So we'll do it for the building. And then it was really, and I told them, of course we can do it. And the neighborhood didn't like them. This was 1989. It was before Clinton don't ask, don't tell policy. So they were not popular, not only in the area, they were not accepted in other churches, their families didn't accept them, they were discriminated against. So I knew I cannot go to the BZA because if I go to the BZA, the neighborhood will be against and we won't get the variance for the parking. So I had to get a different solution, and this is a whole new story, I won't get into it, but it was resolved. And I'm telling you about the parking because it had to do something with the rest of the lecture. So, and just to add to all this, a lot of the members were trying to aid at the time. So they had a very difficult time. And for me, the question was, how do you build a building to a group of people that will give them not just physical comfort, but spiritual comfort, and will make them accepted in the neighborhood. So so the idea of an open building came one night. I was in one of their trustee meetings, and the assistant pastor came with flyers that the neighbors distributed, that they don't want them in the neighborhood. And this kind of really did upset me at the time. I mean, how people can be so mean and just reject people that they don't know. So I remember I woke up in the middle of the night, and then before the next meeting with them, I called the assistant pastor because she was my ally, and I said, can this please come to the meeting? And why I wanted to go, because if she said she liked something, the other people would say that they liked it too. So when I was thinking at night, I said, well, if we would have an open building, it will give a message to the neighborhood that they are welcome. And if they feel welcome, they maybe will accept the new congregation. But I knew that security was a very big issue in this neighborhood. And I knew I can address it, but that it would be very controversial once I bring it up. But Candice came to the meeting, and the pastor didn't come because he was sick at the time. And so everything went really well. And then I addressed the security. You can see that you can see that when you're in the sanctuary, you don't see the outside. We have 10 feet at least of masonry wall, and then we have the glass. So the glass comes up, and the place is secure. This is the east wall, and remember from the plan the L-shaped building. This is on the second floor, that's the columbarium. And when they told me that they needed a columbarium, when we were talking about the program, I didn't know what the columbarium, I'm Jewish. And so when they explained, and they said, well, you can put the ashes in the basement. And I thought, no, these are young people that are dying and they should be part of the staircase. So they are in the room behind, and in these little niches are the ashes. I don't know if you can see the little boxes of jars. So this way they participate in the staircase, and it worked very, very well. And Herbert Mouchon was very moved when he interviewed me. He sat in this little chapel there and saw the Columbarium and cried, and I think he had probably something personal that touched him. So you can see that because they didn't have money, I had to build a building that was like a warehouse, because a warehouse is in the shed. So just corrugated metal and glass and aluminum, that's the curtain wall and the concrete floor. But if you do it right and with the right light, you can create magic, and you see how the reflection of the glass is really multiplying the space. And the glass in the middle is less reflective, it's clear. The rest of the glass is reflective, and also the reflectivity of the glass is different at the bottom and at the top. At the top is more open and it's more reflective at the bottom, and this I took from all churches. That at the bottom is dark and you have light at the top. And that's how it is in the evening. So you see the reflection of the east wall on the west wall, and the place keeps on going. And this is what I wanted to bring at Jerusalem. You don't need many materials to make something live and interesting. And this is just glass blocks. That was the cheapest material, and just the glass and the reflection of the glass. And we use only 3 materials and only 1 color. So that's part of the simplicity that I'm striving to always have minimum. And this is light on the day. And you can see that at all these doors here, they can open the sanctuary in a nice day and extend their event to the outside. This is at night. One of the things that Herbert Mouchon was asking me when he interviewed me was, Suzane, how is possible to do such a building in Washington, D.C.? And at the time, I really didn't understand this question because I didn't know about historic preservation. So I wrote people in the suburb of different fields, and we never dealt with historic preservation, so I didn't know about the Old Association, I didn't know about the restrictions in D.C., so I didn't know what he's asking. So I said, why not? This is but later on I understood. So this was possible because this area was not historic. And now it's different, very, very different. And I'll show you my opinion about historic in a minute. This is just a fountain each thing. And historic is about preserving the past and respecting it, but definitely not imitating or copying it. This is really in a different era. And whatever we are doing today will be the history tomorrow. And the same artist, it is in Chicago. And you can see the scale of this fountain. It's 50 feet tall. And the image, the video image with the LEDs is of a Chicago resident, and they change the images all the time. And that's really the fountain that has to do with today. And with the scale of Chicago, of course. And another piece of Van art, and which is in the Venice Biennale 2015. And you can see the sculpture of his installation that not only it's not imposing, but it's really enhancing the life of the space. And now I will talk about my clients, the United House of Prayer. So the Pilker is a church that they built, and at the time they came to me not to help them with the building, but to help them with zoning issues. They were building churches all over the country. They had a church here that was an old dilapidated building on 7th Street, between Rhode Island and Illinois, and they had a design gift bill from North Carolina that couldn't resolve the parking issues. So someone told them that I resolved the parking issues at the MCC, and that's why I talk about the parking, and that I would be able to help them here. So I said, no, I'm not a zoning lawyer. I really didn't want it, but they insisted, and so I said, okay. And so I took it, and I told them that if we will not succeed with the buildings, buy everything that you can around in the block, because we will be able to go to the BZA and have an application to provide the parking in lots that are within 400 feet away. So all they wanted to see in white were areas that they bought, and but what happened was that we did get the variance, and then they had all this land, so then it was projects for me in the future. So that's how I did all this building, and we will talk about this building. So the one in the middle is Bishop Madison, and that's his wife, and the one left is Apostle Green and me. And this is in Baltimore years ago when I did one of the projects. And he's the one, Bishop Madison, that was building all these churches all over the country. And amazing people, and we had an amazing relationship. And I was not born here or being born here, but they were really the closest people that I can recognize to the people that I work with in Israel. I live in a very modest neighborhood. When I was 7 years old, Israel was 8 years old. It was a new country. And we were all refugees from different countries, Jews that came from all over the place. And we had very modest means. I tell my daughter some of these things she doesn't believe. But we were very happy, and the neighbors and all the people loved each other. And during my introduction, you will see a little bit about it. So I was very happy to work with the United House, and the relationship is really like a marriage, and full marriage. And we did many projects together, and the one that I will show you is one in Baltimore, few in DC. I did for them work in Augusta, Georgia, in Miami, in Boston, in Harvard, New York. So I did for them quite a bit of work. And this is the new bishop, because Bishop Madison passed away about 7 or 8 years ago. This is Bishop David, and I'm working with him now. I'm showing this slide of Baltimore, and that will be the first project because it has a lot of similarity to show the way it was when I started to work there. When I did the Metropolitan Community Church and later when I did some residential, it was very rough and dilapidated and scary. And on this site in Baltimore, I couldn't hire a civil engineer to go and do a survey. I had to pay him a bodyguard. So that's how it was, and it's very close to John Hopkins. It's on Ashland Avenue, and I think that the area now is a little bit better, but still it was very unsafe. And that's how we work there. This is just a building next to our heart. And this is our project. So it's 8 townhouses that are along course, and this is the plan. And the plans are very good, and I am giving you some books to look at the plans. The plans are always very, very simple and straightforward. So you see, this is like a townhouse, and it has 3 exposures. That's one of the things that we pay attention to, have a lot of exposure, not just like light, a little bit of light at the very end, but we have a lot of light. So these are also 3 exposures. And these ones have exposure, you see on the length. These are not 3 floors, and these are 2 floors, see? And they are round floors. A very simple plan that works really well. These have 2 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms, and these have 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, and also a studio and a roof there. This was affordable housing, and it's very successful. Now doctors want to live there, and some of them do want to house here. So this is just when construction finished, and it's around the corner, and you can see that the materials again are very simple. It's just blocks, concrete blocks, and you can see that like even the area is very large, it's very open, and a lot of light, but I'm addressing the security with the guards on the first floor, very simple. And by the way, I saw these bars in fancy places in California, so I said, well, why can't I have a bar here that would look like that? So here you can see the 2-story and the 3-story. And the site is also enclosed. Security was a big issue here. That's on the back, on the parking views. You can see the top on the garden, and you see the wall that is enclosing the site. The church is, the United House Church is just on this side of the wall. They have parking and a church. And they got this land from the city for $1 every week. So that's how we have this project. And you can see here a room facing the court, and plenty of light, also with the very same bar. There's one block under, it's no longer with us taking photos and photographing him. This is the room. And now I'm moving to show, and that's one of the project, one of the first one that I did for them, and they gave me these 2 dilapidated building in show, and told me to do what I can do. And all the projects that I will show now, townhouses are in zone R4, and R4 you have to have a lot that is at least 1,800 square feet. And you can build a dwelling for 1 family or a 2-family dwelling. So they call it flat. So we can do 1 unit in 1 townhouse or 2 units. And of course, we do 2 units usually. And we ask how we can do the best out of the situation. So when I got here, when I got inside, that's what I saw. The roof collapsed. There were walls, but really no roof. And then there was this beautiful light and trees that grew in the middle. So we knew we had to have a court here. So this is the building today from N Street facade. The one on the left here is 2 units, not attached, but it's like 2 houses. And this one on the right is 2 units, one on top of the other. The left door is for the unit upstairs, and so the stairs to go upstairs, and the right door is for the unit downstairs. You see the plan here. It's very, very simple. So you can see that like we have 2 units here, and the court is enclosed with a wall in the alley, so it's very private. So we have 4 dwelling units in these 2 townhouses, and they are different. That's the court. So the court has a lot of light, and it's very open, but it's enclosed on the alley and on the street. This is the alley side. And you see this narrow window is here inside. So the windows are up in the space that faces the alley to have the privacy. And this is the other townhouse, the one that we have unit at the bottom and one at the top. So it's an L shape. And this is for the home, and the front is the living area and the rest is the bedroom. That's another townhouse, and this is at the corner of Fifth and O and Fifth Street. It's 5 or 6 or 3. And here we have the corner, and again, it's a townhouse, and we have the 2 units. And usually, if they see they do 2 units, one at the bottom and one at the top, and we said, wow, we have a corner here, why don't we do a U-shaped building? We enter from the court, and we have 2 houses, 2 equal units, one on the left and one on the right. And the entrance of the door is from the court. I got a lot of publicity and questions when I did this building, because people were wondering, what was I thinking? Why do I put a glass building in the middle of a rough area? And my answer was that we have to change the status quo. We can't keep things the same. So with these offices, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. And if we open and build open building with life, we provide more security. You see inside, you see outside, and also we give a different image to the neighborhood, and the whole attitude changes. And it really worked. And it started from the metropolitan community chair with the glass. It was accepted very well, and then it continued with And so when we were on this building, there was a survey, the police had their own job there were gangs, there were activities. It was really a real place, but it's very different now. And this is the plan, so you can see that at the bottom, that's the living area and the kitchen, and the 2 mirrors. So there are 2 units that are completely equal, and they each have 3 bedrooms and 2 baths. It's very nice units, and people that live there don't want to leave, they just stay there. All these buildings that I'm doing for the United House are rental, and they are very popular. They have a website now, and things kind of disappear right away. It visits during the day, and just some images from the inside. That's the first floor, looking into the court, and the room upstairs on the second floor. And that's the lower level, so you can see that the windows are high, so on the street you can see what's going on inside. So I told you before that I grew up in Israel, and Israel is the desert place. We don't have many things, so we don't construct out of wood. Usually we build this concrete or light concrete that is called stone. And I never saw, I don't remember going up there that I saw a fire in the room or that anyone really had a fire in a building. And usually it's very dense, it's all apartment buildings. But when I moved here, I could see the news always fire, people get affected by the neighborhood fire, they have to leave the building. And then when I started to practice, I realized that we always build with combustible materials, even in the city, and we protect the combustible materials. It really doesn't work. So I try to convince clients that when we do multi-family, we should build with non-combustible materials. Because the code is allowing you to build in certain materials, and usually architects see what's the cheapest thing that I can get away with, because that's what they find. But they don't look at the whole picture. So when the shell of the building itself is only 20 or 25% of the whole cost of the building. So if the shell is a little bit more expensive when it's concrete or particular material than wood, so it's only this 20 or 25% that are a little bit more expensive. But when you look at the whole picture, then you build with wood and you have to protect it. If you build with concrete, you don't have to protect it. The construction here is much faster, at least for the shell. This is precast concrete, the walls, and then floor planks for the floor. This was erected, it's 4 townhouses or 6, I can do projects here. All erected like in 2 weeks, and then you can continue. And it doesn't give you only protection from fire, but also sound. It's much better with sound. In the city, I don't want to go to condominiums that are built out of wood, you hear the neighbors, they're walking, and so it's not quite, but here it really works. And then no termites and no mold, so it does solve a lot of problems. So we shouldn't do things just like because it's done like this all the time. We should really question if this is the right thing to do or not the right thing to do. It's hard to convince clients sometimes about something new. So one of these projects, I was the client. And the other one is a developer woman that never developed a project before. She just bought the land across the alley and we did the whole city hospital. So that's the section, these units, it's really good because each unit here, and you see this is another interpretation of a townhouse, 2 units, how do we do it different and we give value. So the lower unit is 1.5, the unit A is 1.5 story, and it has all the first floor and the second floor, half of the second floor, and the upper unit also has 1.5 floor, the third floor and half of the second. And this allows us to provide here double height. We have the double height in the back, and this one has the double height in the front. And unit B has all the roof there, and unit A has a deck, a patio in the back. So each of them have an outdoor space. And this is the double height in the back of one of the units. And this is the back. And again, it's commercial materials that are used to build a hotel or a high-rise, and we are using it in a low-rise residential in a townhouse. And it does make sense. It's not more expensive or much more expensive because we don't do any custom and anything custom. Everything is off-the-shelf material. And this is the wall. And this is the one that we developed, that I was a client. And you can see this is Bridge Street, it's the same street that had a church. And here we did historic preservation. They were concerned about these little townhouses here. So 2 stories, and even the zoning allowed to have 3 stories. They gave me hard time till I just showed the 3rd floor, and then they looked at it as a max out, and just because it's a bedroom there, in the back. And that's the lower unit that had a patio. And that's the bedroom on the top of the slope rating. And that's the wood deck. So when we design in the school district or any district, we don't ask ourselves how we want our building to look like. we ask ourselves, how do we want to live in the 21st century? And how can we make people life better in the city? This is something that we have to ask ourselves over and over again, because the developers we want to put the maximum units, we want to have a double-loaded corridor, the maximum units, and then what you get units that have exposure only on one side, so they have like only a couple of hours during the day, in the morning or in the evening. And we insist on doing units that have multiple exposure, cross ventilation, connection to the outdoor, so we always provide outdoor spaces, connection to nature. So you can see that all these units have roof decks, patios, or gardens that they share. And now I'm moving to the multi-family units. The Hilton one was the first ones that I did for the 19 hours in this block. And it has a big bay window. And I'm showing this project because now that it's extraordinary, but I don't know why we got AIA awards. And then all the architects told me to ask me how did I put the bay window in a commercial building or in a multi-family building. The zoning allows bay windows for residential, and it was used just in townhouses, Victorian townhouses, and townhouses used this zoning provision, and no one used this for other buildings, but the zoning didn't restrict it. It was so high, and the width, the depth of the bay is 4 feet, and the width of it has to do with the width of the building. So you have a wider building, you can get quite a wide bay window. And so this is a bay window. It adds a lot to the room. And it's really good when you're already floating on the street, on 7th Street. And up here in the building, I could see that a lot of the windows happen in different places. This is 626 S Street, the one, the temporary one. And that was a site that was also R4, and it was 40 feet wide, so we could build there only 2 townhouses. But the site is just across the street from a subway station. And it didn't look right to do just 2 townhouses with such a low density next to the subway station. So we went to the zoning commission and changed the zoning. We got the zoning, and it took a while, so that the whole process was long. We had to convince the clients that they would get much more than 2 townhouses. So the zoning here is C2B, so this is 7th Street. And it's mixed use, but the zoning after this area on this side is R4. And we have the same story as this building right here. So we went to the zoning commission and we amended the zoning map, and we extended the C2B to this side. So it's really not really changing the zoning, but the seats next to it is C2B, so we extended it and it worked. And we have 15 apartments. The plan is really a good plan, it doesn't have corridors. This is the first floor, and there's on S Street here. That's the parking that would be underneath this portion of the building, and this is an English basement unit. The 2P, we have 2 stairs, and this was supposed to be like 3 stories, so we don't have elevators, it's portable, it's very economical. But you see the stairs itself, 1, 2, 3 units, and the same there. And we have no corridors at all. And then we have a lot of exposures to the unit. You see, and this one, each of them have these 2 big exposure. And And the top unit have also a mezzanine, so it's like a 5-story building, but it's considered like 3, and we didn't have like an elevator. And this is the parking underneath the bridge there, and on the other side is the core. Sorry, that's the core. And you have to get into the core to go to the stairs to go up on the slate. And these are just a couple of images of the interior, so you can see ample of light. And that's the upper unit that has a mezzanine. This is 623 M Street, and I love this building just because of the plan. The plan here is also very good and very, very simple. There was a building here, and the clients asked me to provide the land. There were some elderly people there, and they said, if I can help provide the land so they can go to the church next door. The building was elevated. And then I go to the building, but they don't have any elevator inside it. It's a building in modular shape, and so I convinced them that we should build a new building and have an elevator. So that's the plan. And each floor has 3 units. And they are supposed to be 1 bedroom, 3, 1 unit. This unit has 3 exposures. And this one also has 3 exposure. And the elevator and the stair, one stair, usually 3 stories. But what happened, the elderly moved to another building that we did, and then they wanted to stay there. So this is now being rented to young people. And the top floor also has a mezzanine. That's inside. And again, here it seems like a commercial material, it's just panel windows, flat panel windows, which is the light windows, and it looks like a commercial building. And that's the space that the properties have. They have outoccupied the spaces. This is 17 selfie. 17, 7th Street, and again, it's a U-shaped building, has stairs at the 2 ends. See, there is no building that is just like a double-loaded corridor. It's always L-shaped, U-shaped, whatever, with a core to provide more light, more ventilation, and outdoor space. And this that's the building that was on the subway, and this has 12 assistant living on the first 2 floors. This is rated on 7th Street, and there are 6 assistant living facing the court, and another 6 on the 2nd floor that is not here. And then here on the 2nd floor they have their kitchen, their living room, all the spaces. And then we have 3 more floors with multiple apartments. So there are 4 little assistant living, 2 floors, and later, and then multiple apartments to the top, 3 floors. And these bridges are just to be able to go from one exit to another. This is the north part of the building. So there are stairs on this side and stairs on the south side. And just these balconies allow to have open, so it allows cross ventilation to the units that are on the right. And it's usually not used unless somebody is going to smoke a cigarette or something. So there is quite privacy there. And it's the first time that we use Trespa on this building, and then we use it also in the building across. So that's space inside, and that's the core. And that's how we see the building across. But you see that our building has also bays, and they're facing the old Island Avenue building. And that's the last apartment building that I will show. That's Old Island Avenue, and it became a landmark because of the coloring of the building. And you can see here, that's on Old Island Avenue, that's a facade. And it's Trespa, but here we are much more natural and we are using color. And And you can see here also that we are carving in the middle of the building here, decor. So there are here duplexes on the two sides facing the core. And we recess the building from the property line here to allow here the garden. And also we have a green room. So that's the court and the duplexes. There are two units that are 2 floors each facing the court on the two sides. And this is the interior unit facing Rhode Island Avenue. And this is one of the duplexes that has 2 floors. And these are 2 Maryland graduates here in Mooney working. So you can see just by recessing the building a little bit, we provided a really nice garden. And all the units have balconies for outdoor spaces. All the units can share the court and they can share the roof and the garden. So a lot of outdoor space in the city in a small order. This is the plan. And now just a little bit, I'll tell you what inspired me. And maybe would affect some of you. We live in an amazing place. The Washington DC area, we have all these very cool museums, and it's all free. So don't stay a lot in the campus, especially in the weekends. Just go downtown and go to the museum. There are a lot of very good shows, and it's very inspiring, and the Building Museum. And then you can go to Baltimore. Also Baltimore has amazing art. And this is the National Gallery, and it's one Friday afternoon we just left work and went because there was a flaming installation, just one installation. That's the flaming installation. And you will see some demonstration later on, and this is Vincent who used to work in my office, and this guy used to work with me. Simon, Matt, and Vincent. And we are just having a wonderful time listening at the National Gallery. And this is a small museum in Israel. It's like a books in Howard. And it was built before Israel was established, before 50 years. And even I studied architecture in Israel. I knew about the building, I knew that it's special, some mentioned it, and I never visited it. And then one day I read in the New York Times that Renzo Piano is doing the Menel collections in Texas, and he took the Menel family or the client to see this museum in Howard. I said, wow, they take all the trip to go to Israel to see this museum, and then I investigated, and Louis Kahn was affected by this museum, and the Renzo Piano. There is, by the way, a German movie, film, I don't know about it, that it's called Two Museums, and it's a documentary, and there is the Menel and the Howard Museum, and showing both of them. It's online, it's very interesting. And anyway, so in one of the trips, Numi and me from Israel, and we took the car, and we just went there, and it was just a religious experience. It was really amazing. It's really hard in slides to convey the experience of the light and the space, but I'm just showing just a couple of slides. And what I want to say is, you don't have to go far to see good architecture. You have a lot of it around you. You just have to go and experience it. And in Washington, we have some good buildings, and the same in Maryland. And you just have to investigate and influence the buildings. Because that's how we learn about architecture. Not books or slides, or that's really one have experiencing it. And this is in Mexico City, and it's a American house, and that also is an amazing inspiration, and especially because of the light. You see, the light creates magic. And this slide shows the the light is coming from the side, you see the window, you see, and but there are angles that you don't see where the light is coming from. Like in this one, I really wanted to show you, and just you go down the stairs and you see this painting that is really gold-plated paintings, and it's just like magic. And that's the most important room for Barbara in his house. It's the roof. That's where he spent all the afternoon. And I'm showing this slide so you can see the scale. These walls are very, very tall. So it really feels like an outer room. And the sky is the ceiling. And then the stables that are amazing. Very, very simple, and just in the coral, the tourist thing. I'm showing you first. And Mexico is not too far. It's very easy to park there, and they have the most amazing architecture. Don't listen to Donald about the Mexican. It's really, really a good place, and with great people and great architecture. And you can see this fence here, just like cactuses, and they're all clean and neat. And the courts everywhere, we have courts, all those spaces. This is just like simple place to live. And I showed just a little bit of art, very little, and I want to show art because art is what really makes us think differently and affect us. And I'm showing now two pieces of Sept that deal with gravity. This one is called the Reatig, and it's just two plates, one in the ceiling, one on the floor. You're just walking there, the feeling, the core, the feeling of intimidation by just walking underneath it. It is very powerful. And the other one, and this I think was in 1975, and this one is called Equal, and he did in 1970, so it's before the other one. And it's just two pieces, a plate and a bar that are made out of lead. And this one is called the Reatig. And it's really, if you stand there, and it's like a ballerina that is standing on a tiptoe, and it's hardly balancing, and you stand there and you know, well, now everything is okay and it's balanced, but you know that next minute everything can change. So that's the two Sept pieces, and this is Numi's pieces. Numi made quite a bit of sculpture from sheet metals, and this is a sketch where she's drawing the folds that she's going to do to the sheet metal. This is in the studio. You see the sheet metals are on the floor with her drawings. And now she cut them, and then bent them. You see the bend there. And then she takes them to Baltimore to the galvanizer after she folded them. And this is like one of the pieces that the galvanizer, and this is a piece in our office. And what I like is about the work is that it's geometric and organic at the same time. It's very sharp, but it's very soft also. So you can see here just the light that the metal looks like a fabric. And I like to see all the process when she does the work, so I take some images. And this is a piece that is in the yard of the temple class. It's out of the garden. And the most influential artist that is an architect by education, but what he did is Donald Judd and Martha. And this is Martha, Texas. I know it's very difficult to reach. You have to drive to a taxi and rent a car and park a couple of hours and so on. But this is really the mecca of art. If anyone can do it, I think that's the place to go. So in 1970, Donald Trump was tired of the context Donald Judd, sorry. Donald Judd was tired of the context of New York. Thank you, Ronnie. And he decided to move to Alpha, Texas, and with the Deer Foundation, he built an army barracks with 16 buildings, 3 ranches, and 40,000 acres. And that's where he installed his art and his son's art. And you can imagine the context, it's very, very different. So these are concrete boxes that are in the side. And these 2 barracks, he made them cathedral to his aluminum boxes, and I will get to the aluminum boxes. And this is the concrete boxes in the side, and I'm just moving just so you can see the scale. And in between the buildings, you can see how runway, the outer piece, is running the out of his plans with the building. There are 6 buildings for bench plating, and I go really fast, just few. And this is done in Alpha, Texas. And we were very fortunate that we had access to see Donald Judd pieces very, very early in the morning with this light. So I'll just show a few slides. And these are all solid aluminum boxes. By the way, they were produced in Switzerland, so they are very, very sharp and done perfectly. But the light and the reflection, that's looking at the magic. So this is reflection. We don't know what's inside, what's outside. This is a solid aluminum box, and that's how it's appearing. You see how the outside comes inside. And the configuration of all these boxes and the reflection, just with the desert and eternity. And that's what I try in some of the work, just like not to end things, but just to have the feeling of reflectivity and continuation. Okay, let's see. I'll be happy to answer questions.
So how did you solve the parking in the first church?
How did I solve the parking? Okay. We didn't have queues, but we had removable chairs, and I worked with one that was Michael at the time, that was a very nice guy, and when you calculate how many sittings, so you take the next you can take the exit rows, you don't calculate it as area, and then you have to divide the net area by 7 and decide how many people are sitting there. So I put in the middle a big row. I told them that they have 3 weddings, so this is not sitting. They have their wedding and their funeral there and whatever. So I took areas out, so I left net areas that are small, and that's how I did it. And the zoning administrator was really nice and cooperative and involved. So this is
First of all, thank you for such a great presentation. Your project is beautiful, truly beautiful, and very special to Washington, D.C. in this context. So I'm curious because you made a statement which is very interesting. You said you don't need a lot of materials, right? With the right detail, you really can bring out the best of this material. So I'm curious, if you have to choose one building material, you always fall back to, no matter if it's wood or concrete or aluminum, which one you choose?
I like glass. I like glass because glass allows lighting, and light is going to we really have to take advantage of it and allow light. And the glass of today is not the glass of people. It's insulated, it's attractive, it has low heat, so we can allow a lot of light inside the building, and we should. So we don't have to use artificial light during the day, and it's much nicer when the building is alive and have light and shadow than getting into a room that is a refrigerator, or if you open the door, the light comes on. You see, in my house, I built an addition with a bedroom, and I have huge windows in the bathroom, because when I get up in the morning and I go to the bathroom in the building, I want to see light. And it's really important. It's the bedroom, you want the bedroom in the east, and you want to wake up and see light. You don't want to get up and please not me. So, light is important. And also about sustainability. See, when you are in a place that makes you feel good, you like to stay there and be there. There is really a good story of I love to always that a client of his sent in a check, and I went to cash the check, and he put it in a frame on the wall, and he was always proud to have the story that he built a house for them 20 years ago, and then in the letter they said, we built this house, this amazing house 20 years ago. All our friends now are rebuilding a new house after 20 years, but we don't need to build a new house, we love our house, and here is the check for the second house that they're all building. And this is really sustainability. You see, when you build things that other people will, that people like, use and build them that last, that's the most important thing. Yeah.
Suzanne, I want to thank you. I think back to the 1980s when I first came to the Washington, D.C. area, and how Washington, D.C. was very much succumbed to the kind of pastiche of postmodernism, and the idea of contextualism really sort of hit the pits with buildings like Martin and Jones's. I guess it was originally a bank building in Georgetown on M Street that was supposed to be Georgian, and clearly they had used several different scales and several different pattern books, and it was really a kind of very false and faux attempt at trying to be genuine. And I remember the publication of the church when it came out, and thinking to myself that this was a great alternative. And it really buildings that had a very contextual quality to them, but without succumbing to the trappings of pastiche. And certainly the one townhouse that you showed, where the one original facade was largely preserved, and then the addition was made mostly out of glass and aluminum. What a beautiful project, and what a truly contextual argument you make for architecture in the city with modern architecture. And I think, well, the inventor of contextualism is not here at the moment, he's at a Senate meeting. But I think that you have, through your architecture, proven that to be contextual does not necessarily mean simply aping the context and creating a pastiche, as the building I cited earlier, but rather to find something that's genuine and something that's true about that site, and to be able to amplify it through an architecture that's alive. So thank you very much.